Typhoon Halong is battering Japan with intense rain and winds, prompting emergency warnings and fears of flooding and landslides as meteorologists say its remnants could soon fuel an unusually strong rain and snow system across California. The typhoon reached Japan's Izu Islands on Thursday morning, prompting special warnings for windstorms, high waves, and heavy rainfall across the island chain, including Hachijō and Aogashima, where residents have been urged to evacuate. By noon local time, the storm was moving at around 30 kilometers per hour with a central pressure of 950 hectopascals. Japan's weather agency issued a special heavy rain warning for the Izu Island chain south of Tokyo. The weather forced hundreds of residents in the region to take refuge at evacuation centers. Strong winds are also expected to lash other islands in the chain, including Toshima, Niijima, Kozushima, Miyakojima, and Mikurojima, raising fears of widespread power outages and transport disruptions. Local authorities have warned of the potential for landslides and linear rain bands, narrow corridors of intense rainfall that can rapidly worsen flooding. Halong is expected to pass near the Izu Islands before curving eastward over the Pacific late on Thursday, sparing mainland Japan from a direct hit, but leaving severe weather conditions in its wake. The Japan Coast Guard has urged ships to steer clear of the typhoon's projected path, while flights and ferries to the islands have been suspended. Emergency crews remain on standby to respond to power failures and blocked roads. But as Japan braces for the storm, the remnants of Typhoon Halong are forecast to merge with a weather system over the Pacific, intensifying the jet stream and sending a surge of moisture toward North America. In California, that could translate into a multi-day storm bringing heavy rain to coastal and inland areas and early-season snowfall in the Sierra Nevada. Some models suggest the Bay Area could experience its strongest rainfall since last winter, with mountain snow reaching lower elevations than usual for October. This type of cross-ocean weather link, known as atmospheric teleconnection, happens when the energy and moisture of a western Pacific typhoon feed into the jet stream, amplifying downstream weather patterns thousands of kilometers away. The storm will first move towards western Alaska, which is bracing for impact this weekend as the remnants of the typhoon are expected to move into the Bering Sea late Sunday into Monday. The storm's energy will strengthen the jet stream, pushing a high-pressure system into Canada and causing subarctic air to flow toward Washington State, Oregon, and California on Monday. This cold air interacting with a coastal storm system may bring substantial rainfall to Northern California, particularly around the Bay Area, and significant snowfall to the Sierra Nevada mountains. Depending on the storm's trajectory, the Bay Area could receive its heaviest rainfall since last winter, while Lake Tahoe and the Sierras may see several feet of new snow. Typhoon Halong, one of the most intense tropical systems to strike Japan this year, unleashed its fury on the remote island of Hachijojima, leaving behind a trail of record-breaking rainfall, disrupted infrastructure, and a community grappling with isolation and recovery. Halong, designated as Typhoon No. 22 by the Japan Meteorological Agency, JMA, intensified rapidly over the warm waters of the western Pacific, reaching Category 4 strength with sustained winds of 220 kilometers per hour and gusts exceeding 250 kilometers per hour. As the storm skirted the Izu Islands, Hachijojima bore the brunt of its outer bands, experiencing extreme rainfall and dangerous surf. Between Wednesday evening and Thursday morning, Hachijojima recorded 261.5 millimeters of rain in just 6 hours, an all-time high for the island's meteorological station. Gale-force winds toppled trees and damaged rooftops, while offshore wave heights reached up to 12 meters, prompting maritime warnings and port closures. In response to the escalating threat, the Tokyo Metropolitan Government issued a Level 5 emergency warning for Hachijō Town, the highest alert level in Japan's disaster response system. Residents were urged to evacuate immediately due to the risk of landslides and flash flooding. All designated evacuation centers reached full capacity by Thursday morning, housing over 2,000 residents. Local volunteers assisted elderly and disabled residents, while emergency services conducted door-to-door checks in high-risk zones. One of the most alarming consequences of Halong's impact was the sudden collapse of digital communications across the island. Residents reported complete loss of smartphone connectivity and internet access. The Digital Services Bureau suspects damage to submarine fiber optic cables linking Hachijojima to mainland Japan. Disaster prevention radio networks and landline telephones remained operational, serving as the island's only communication lifeline. All flights to and from Hachijojima Airport were suspended for 3 days due to unsafe wind conditions and poor visibility. Ferry routes connecting the island to Tokyo and neighboring Izu Islands were halted, stranding tourists and delaying supply shipments. Several neighborhoods experienced power outages, with restoration crews facing delays due to hazardous conditions. Overflowing drainage systems led to water contamination, prompting boil water advisories across the island. Halong's deluge triggered multiple landslides across Hachijojima's mountainous terrain, blocking roads and isolating communities. At least 5 major landslides were reported, including one that buried a section of the island's main highway. Beaches and cliffs suffered significant erosion, with some areas losing up to 5 meters of shoreline. Banana and citrus plantations were devastated by wind and water, with farmers estimating up to 40% crop loss. Despite the severity of the storm, no fatalities have been reported as of Thursday evening. However, several minor injuries were treated at local clinics, mostly due to falls and flying debris. The sudden isolation and uncertainty have led to increased anxiety among residents, especially those unable to contact family members on the mainland. Local leaders praised the resilience and cooperation of residents, noting that prior disaster drills contributed to the orderly evacuation and response. Activated emergency protocols and dispatched technical teams to assess damage and coordinate recovery. Provided satellite phones and portable radio units to maintain communication with isolated areas. Launched an investigation into the suspected submarine cable damage. Coordinated with telecom providers to initiate emergency restoration plans, including temporary satellite internet deployment. Japan Meteorological Agency, JMA, delivered timely warnings and real-time data to guide evacuation efforts. Described Halong's structure as spectacular, with a well-defined eye and intense convection visible in satellite imagery. Local farmers face significant financial setbacks due to destroyed harvests and damaged irrigation systems. Several poultry farms reported losses due to collapsed coops and water contamination. Hotels and guest houses reported mass cancellations, with tourism expected to decline in the coming months. The storm's severity may deter future visitors, impacting long-term economic recovery. Preliminary estimates suggest over 1.2 billion yen, approximate $8 million in damage to roads, utilities, and communication infrastructure. Halong's rapid intensification was fueled by sea surface temperatures 1 to 2 degrees Celsius above average, a phenomenon increasingly linked to climate change. Satellite-based intensity estimates placed Halong at CI value 6.0, confirming its classification as a severe typhoon. Experts warn that warming oceans may lead to more frequent and intense storms in the region.